Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sound Sessions number 6. Hello, Mr. Smith.
Good evening, you. How are you doing?
I'm really good. I'm excited. I love doing this. I'm very excited for this show.
Yeah, it's good. It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah. We already have Pole Vault in the room and Deep Burrito.
Evening, folks.
Deep Burrito says it's like Tony Hart is in the room.
Oh, what was that music that he used to play for the gallery? It was lovely.
Is that what the song I played to your George Street Shuffle, or is that in reference to something else?
It's very similar. Yeah, it's very similar to that. What was that little character he used to do? Was it Morph? It was. It was called Morph. He was a little plasticine stop frame animation thing. Oh, Deb, how you doing?
I'm like, I have to Google this.
Dave's on. I know David's on shortly, Deb, as well. I'm sorry I can't be there again, but I will be there on Sunday as well.
Yeah, we seem to overgo David's a lot.
It's weird. Yeah, there's just this clash since I've came across David's channel, and it happens to be either at the exact same times as you streaming or the exact same times as me.
Mm-hmm. Jorge is in the chat. Great to see you.
Hi.
Arfman's first animation. Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up later. I'm very intrigued.
Arfman. Who's Arfman?
Well, I thought it was the Tony Hart morph. ARR.
Yeah, who's Arfman? Did he end up doing Wallace and Gromit? Is that the same people?
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I don't know. I'm clutching at straws with that
he
one.
said Ardman. Ardman. I misspelled. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's Wallace and Gromit. Yeah, right. Got you. I never knew that. Wow. I've just learned something today. I found out.
We learned stuff in the show. It's educational and entertainment. It's infotainment. We
need that thing, don't we?
Right.
You know,
the more you know.
Do.
Hey, Keith H. Great to see you, Keith.
Hi, Keith.
Okay, well, today we thought we could talk about the debate between lyrics versus melody and what's more important.
And what side are you on?
What do you think? I think it's obvious. I mean, even when I thought about it, I was like, this is just what we fight about all the time.
Yeah.
Because, and I think, there's a lot of reasons why we have a difference in this. And I think, some of it is just how we approach music and how we're,
it is.
And what we're looking for in music. And some of it, and I don't think it's a black and white thing. I don't think it's like music up, melody sucks. I think melody is very important, and I love a song with good, and I love a song with good beat. And there was just, there's songs that are absolute trash lyrics, but that I played every time I'm at the gym. And I'm like, this song has the stupidest lyrics, but boy, howdy, am I going fast on the treadmill. So there are pros and cons to different, it's not like it's like I won't listen to something that has subpar lyrics.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely err on the side of melody, though. I think what's the quote that Bono gave? It's one of his lyrics. I'm just trying to find a simple melody, a song that I can sing in my own company. Mm-hmm. I think that's, just a tune that you can whistle or a hook or something.
Right.
I think that's where it really lies for me. Don't get me wrong, I'm the same as you. I don't like throwaway, disposable, ooh, girl, let's party lyrics. I can't be doing with that.
Right. I just think it makes a song even better if the lyrics also don't suck. And I'll say, when I say that the lyrics don't suck or that they're, I care about lyrics, it's not that I'm like, oh, these lyrics have to be Shakespeare or have to be like really deep. Like, oh, this is, I'm learning physics while I'm singing. I don't think it's, it's more about like, do the lyrics have something in them that make them memorable to me? Like whether it's an idea, it's an alliteration, it's a rhyme scheme, it's the rhythmic nature of the words. And sometimes it's like, I love a song because it has this like one great line. And I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to sing this one awesome line at the end of this song.
This is it, right? So for me, with that kind of thing, so to me, Neil Peart is the lyricist of lyricists. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the Black Eyed Peas, let's go out and get it. Like, oh my God, that kind of lyric is just perfect for that thing.
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah, there's something about just
shake it
party.
like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it really works, doesn't it? But that's not really my bag, if I'm honest.
Right. And I think, that's kind of where I start at with it. Like, is this a song that I could do an acoustic folk cover of? And if it's like, say it like an Imagine Dragons song, that could be a song that I enjoy listening to in some kind of, if I'm in the right place where it's like, I'm at a concert and we're pre-partying and it's like lightning and the thunder and the thunder and the light and whoo. But I'm not doing a cover of that because it's stupid.
No. It won't translate.
It will not translate because it's stupid. And
I know you've come across things like that before as well, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Certain songs.
Yeah. There's a lot of songs that just make me... that I enjoy the beat and I enjoy how the song goes, but I can't do a cover of this song. And so I think about I kind of classify the songs in a different way in my head when I'm like, this is maybe a song for, me, the gym or, a party or something. I would dance to it. But I'm like, man, it would be a little better if they had spent a few more minutes on the lyrics.
A few more minutes.
like they spent 2, but they could have gone
just
like
one more,
6 minutes, maybe. I don't know.
One more post-it notes worth of rhyming couplets.
Yes. Just and just let's flesh out the idea a little bit. And so Pole Vault says one thing that I really think is important is actually, here's a couple good ones. Let me go first to Deep Burrito. Says that melody is the same in any language. And I really like that. And also I noticed that my chat is not, there we go. And so that's definitely a good point. And then Pole Vault says, I don't even know what Rammstein is saying. And this is something we touched on. Like, there's so many songs, I make up the lyrics in my head and I think there's something. And I'm wrong.
I have a tendency to listen to Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan a lot and Qawwali singing. And I don't speak Urdu or Punjabi. I don't know any of it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's Nusrat, as far as I'm concerned, is probably the closest thing to God that's ever walked the earth as a vocalist.
Oh, yeah.
And there's something transcendent about it, that it goes way beyond the lyric.
Right.
Because it's that melody and it sort of puts you in a place.
Right.
And in some ways I wish I understood the lyrics, but in other ways I think I'm glad I don't.
Well, some of them, sometimes I will like look up in that kind of case, especially to see what they are singing. But there are a lot of cases where, and there's so many songs that I just love. There's so many instrumental songs and so many songs without any lyrics at all that I truly do love. So this is not a thing, but for
Brett says balls.
Let me highlight that for the screen. Balls.
I had to break in there. I'm sorry. I was listening. It's just...
I like Deep Burrito says that he likes lyrics that are invoking imagery as you listen, and I like that idea a lot too. Patrick Chandler's joined the chat.
Hey, good to see you, Patrick. Well, that's something that I think you're particularly involved in as well as a songwriter. You are very involved in creating imagery, aren't you? And,
I like to tell a little story or show a little vignette of something and discuss this little idea I have and try to flesh it out in 3 verses and a bridge and a chorus. And I'm the first to say it's not that I don't think my lyrics are like amazing. I think I have some of my lyrics are better than others, but but it's more about, to me especially, like, do I enjoy the rhythmic nature of the lyrics? Do I enjoy how it's lying in the song? Do I enjoy And sometimes I write a song and I'm like, it's an okay song and this meaning is good to me, but the words don't have a nice rhythm and I don't enjoy singing it. Those kind of get to the bottom of the pile.
Yeah. Okay, so given that you come from a point of lyrics first and then melody is applied later, and we are now working on a song together, an original one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which one?
The one we're writing together, or the one we just
the
did?
one we're
Okay.
writing together.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was a different kind of process for you, wasn't it? Or it is being a different kind of process, because I presented you with the music, and you've then had to apply lyric and melody. How was that for you? What, you know?
It's not. I've done it before, but it's not what I usually do for my own songs. I usually, because to me, coming up with like a melody to fit the words is kind of easier to find words to fit a melody. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I start from. So you sent me like a pretty full track. Like, here's the whole track. Here's all
pretty
of the, and so I listened to it many, many, many times, and I was kind of like, what do I feel like? What does this song sound like to me? What is the imagery I am getting when I'm listening to this music? And trying to create lyrics where I started with my lyrics.
Yeah, right, okay. So you took a feeling that you got from the music and then translated that into some kind of sentence as a jumping point, or?
Yeah, I did.
We have a cat with us.
We have a cat.
Yeah, please don't stand on the keyboard. Hey, Chad, how you doing, buddy?
Chad, good to see you. So it was, and as we're still kind of, in my mind, I don't know, we've just, like I sent you, here's my ideas for these lyrics, but now I'm waiting for you to be like, here's what I would change about these lyrics. Or here's how I think, because one thing I do a lot of is when I write a song, I probably write 3 times the amount of words that I need for that song.
Okay, that's interesting, because I can't manage that. I can usually manage to write 90% and then kind of fudge the last 10.
Well, I'm not saying it's not all fudged. It's I'm fudging everything, but in my mind, but I'm writing down a lot, and so I'm, like if a song in the end has 3 verses, I've at least written 5, and then I've gone back and been like, which verse is actually telling the story that I'm trying to tell, and which one, like sometimes I'll write a verse, like write 2 verses that are kind of. I'm basically saying the same thing in 2 different ways. And so which one is actually more impactful, makes more sense, has more good words, good rhymes, sticks more with... I'm kind of big about, like, once I start a rhyme scheme, I like to keep it up throughout all the verses, even though that's not necessary. It's something that I like, and it helps me remember the song, too.
When you come to perform it, you mean? So
because again, that's where I'm kind of I love listening to music, and there's but there is a big difference to me in songs that I enjoy and songs I listen to and songs I want to perform. And so when I'm writing mostly song. I've written that. I have a little electronic album of
You have
a couple songs there's no lyrics. It's just
no.
Doo-ka-doo-ka-doo-doo-doo, boo, boo, boo. And it,
nice impersonation.
it's there's no. But in my mind, it's a story. In my mind, like one of the songs is about traffic, and I have like this is where the truck comes in, and this is where the train comes by, and you have to stop, and then here comes the cars. And so in my mind, it has a story. Like one is about a ringside, one is called Ringside, and it's about like a boxing match. And in my mind,
hey, Robbie,
it's telling that
good
story.
To see you, buddy.
Whether to anybody else, they know that they don't, because there's no words.
But have you put the clues in the titles?
Well, like one's called Ringside. It's a boxing match. One's called Highway. It's traffic. One's called what's it called? Night Watchman. And it's about a guy who like walks around the building at night. Because I had a friend who did this. And it's kind of like, it's a slow song where he's just kind of, you're like, do 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 do, and he's just walking around the building, and then every once in a while, like it's almost like something might be happening, but no, in the end, you're just going back to the thing because nothing happens when you're the night watchman.
Right.
Now, so
hi,
no.
Hi, Paula as well.
Paula and Robbie, I didn't say hello. So it's I'm not saying like it's super deep, but it has a story in my mind that I'm starting with, and I love silly songs. Like it's not like I love Bare Naked Ladies song or God, what's that band? I love this band.
Mixed Club. Why am I not surprised that you have a song with that name?
Which one?
What? Why am I not surprised? His song's called Backdoor Betty.
Yeah. So he also said the best thing I write just happens. I pick up the guitar, start noodling, and boom. But if I set out to write something like last September song, it sucks. I just feel like I'm a staff writer. I definitely feel that. There's something about having like just that drive and that push to do it versus having to feel like you have to write something right now, like it's an assignment.
Yeah, I tend to. It has to take over me. It takes over my So, for example, you've just we've done this track Silence of yours.
Yes.
And you saw it. I went hell for leather for 3 consecutive days, 12 hours a day.
You did.
That's it.
Guys, he really did. Like
kind of.
He spent like 40 hours doing an arrangement and a mix and a master of the song. And I mean, you probably did. That
was dependent on this thing. It's sort of when I get the goosebumps or the hairs stand up on my arms, or I get a feeling that it makes me want to cry, or it makes me need a cuddle, or it makes me. It sort of, that's what takes me along with it. It's this feeling that I get, and then I stay immersed in that feeling until it's finished for me. And so it's not necessarily imagery or anything or an idea when it comes to music. It's more just literally the feeling, the vibration that it gives off.
For sure.
And working on that song particularly was about just this frequency that it gave out. That, and maybe it's just things that resonate with me as a person. But that resonance that I felt, that similarity, gave me the energy to do it and just to not stop till it was finished, because I enjoyed being in that bubble of feeling, if that makes any sense, and also as well, I have this tendency that when I'm heavily involved in a track like that, the first thing I heard when I woke up was the fucking chorus from that song. Just immediately it was in my head. And what I have to do is I have to complete the process, otherwise it won't leave and it tortures me.
Yeah. I do that. If I get an earworm, I have to listen to the whole song.
Yeah, deeper. It's straight while the iron's hot. It's that. Is it inspiration? I don't know. It's I think maybe for me, inspiration's different. So inspiration works in a way where something I interact with in my life makes me then want to go and do something musical, whether it's go and play my drums, or it makes me want to play guitar, or it makes me just want to go and listen to an album. Whereas what I'm talking about with this is more what the motivation is that keeps me going for something for 3 days. And for me, it's about melody. Now, we're talking about melody versus lyrics. Now, there's something, I'd call it the linear enjoyment through a track. Now, this is where I've gone for with your song Silence. So what happens is your melody is present as the main melody, But what happens is there are melodies that follow on from that in between. So the listener's not just hearing a melody from the vocal, it's then assisted by an arrangement. Hopefully, that's my idea. You know, I don't know if I've got away with it. I don't know.
I think you did.
Hopefully I have.
Yeah.
You know, it seems pretty good. I've got to be honest.
No, I'm highly impressed, and it's it's definitely it's a good example of like I feel it's a song that stands on its own as a little folk song that I'm just playing on the guitar.
It does.
But this is a totally different arrangement that has drums and bass and keys and strings and I don't know if you took. I think you took the banjo out, but there was a banjo at one point. But I was like, "Fuck the banjo."
Well, a banjo popped its head around the door. Didn't it
did, and I was like, "No."
Get out.
But it has, a ton of different instruments and sounds, and a lot of movement of the sounds. Like it definitely feels like it's moving around while you're listening to it, and it honors the song. Like it's still, to me, I'm still hearing the song. It's not a different song. It's just
That's good.
But it's definitely a fuller arrangement, and it's definitely so. When we started with this one, I sent you what I, in my mind, thought of as a fuller arrangement. So my fuller arrangement was my guitar picked, plus I strummed. Plus, I had a bass line that was MIDI, but it's a bass line. And then I had a little cajon and shaker drum line. So it's like a cajon with a snare and a little shakery thing. And I think that, and then some harmony and lines with the vocals.
Yeah.
And so that was my whole, like, this is very fleshed out. It's like this.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot, and it was a lot going on, but it was kind of static in the sense of the same thing was going on the whole way through. Like it didn't. Nothing changed in the song. It was like we all, like my little band I created started at the beginning, and we went all the way through and played the song.
Pretty much.
And your arrangement is more like, this dancer comes in and does a little jig, and then over here, this, like hello, and then. And the banjo came in and they were like, "Get out, banjo!
Get out!"
No one wants you. And then there's like the slide guitar, and there's a lot of.
I enjoy doing the slide guitar. I must be honest.
I'm excited for Many Vibes to hear that part. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, me too. In fact, I haven't seen Many Vibes for a bit.
I haven't seen her today at all.
But yeah, doing the slide guitar is back to what I was talking about before with trying to, because my idea is in some way, when I'm producing a piece of music, is to have this linear path of enjoyment for the listener to some kind of melody. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes that's just a break. So silence is very important in a melody, as you know, sometimes, just breathing space because it gives impact. But the music then just plays a part of like a carryover. So there's just something to keep the brain occupied. Mm-hmm. And the slide guitar was really cool for that. For me, it's not like a call and answer, but it's very much following after the melody of the vocal. Mm-hmm. So it just gives something in between, just a nice little touch. It's like a sip of a drink in between a bite of the meal for me.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah. It's
with your original arrangement, so like you said, you put a cajon and a shaker, and there's a bass, and so all right. Well, first thing, I don't care where you generate a bass line from, T-chest bass, MIDI bass, real bass, blow it out your arse bass. I don't care. It's a bass line. If it sounds good in the track, let's use it. I don't care. You know what I mean? Not in the least bit fussy about that at all. And then you sent the 2 guitar tracks, and. Mm-hmm. I've kept all those, as you know, although I've heavily chopped into them and I've set them into an arrangement.
Right.
But I've kept those things because that mix that you sent me was, when you hear people talk about, when we originally got the demo for this, before it became a platinum selling album, we thought there's really something in this demo. So we used the original bit, most of it, and that's what's on the album. This is one of those tracks for me where what you sent was pretty much right, It just needed an arrangement on it. So that's all I kind of applied, and it's still your drums, it's still the bass line, it's still your pick guitar and strum guitar, the harmony. All we did was re-record the vocal again, very kindly of you. And then I've kind of fleshed it out and just spit and polished it really on the top. So it's very unusual for me. Sort of, if I had a hat to take it off right now, you know, but it's very unusual for me to use so much of what somebody sent as a demo to actually do a complete arrangement of the track. I mean, listen, you know, I'm the drummer here, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you'd redo all the drums. I was shocked you used my drums.
Yeah.
Because it was like... That was
it is. Okay, I'll give you that. It is, yeah.
Gary, great to see you, Hubsy.
Hey, Gary, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, it is a little like that. But however, so this is case in point. Sometimes it doesn't need to be complicated, doesn't it? So it can be a very simple melody and it's so effective, or it can just be a really simple drum track with a cajon and it's really effective. That was what it was with this. You know, it just suited it. So why fix what isn't broken? All I needed to do was just add it to the mix properly, you know?
Right.
And there was something about, you know, so you've done the video. I'm not going to give any spoilers.
I'm excited,
but
y'all.
You've done the video.
I did the video. I did it at the real studio, y'all.
It's so good.
I have props. Costume.
It's so good. I can't wait for people to see it, honestly. But yeah, so the video again it sort of emotes this era,
right?
If you like, you know.
Sure.
Somehow it's not very specific, but yeah, I think you know what I mean. This sort of certainly old time era,
right?
And there was something about what you did with the cajon and the shaker. It wasn't a modern snare drum. It wasn't a modern kick drum. And there was something about the sounds of the frequencies involved in those that really suited this kind of old-time feel. And immediately to me, it was kind of, yeah, you picked the right sounds for it. If I put a bass drum on that, I'm just going to ruin it. And I'll drag it into 2024 and it won't quite match up.
Right, right.
Even though sort of production-wise, I've tried to get it into 2024, not instrumentation-wise, because that didn't work. That cajon was just perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little shocked. I really did think you would redo it, because you do a lot of percussion that's not full drum set. So I do think I questioned just the bass line too. You're an actual bass player. I tried to play that. I tried to do it on my bass, and I'm just not that great a bass player. And I went and I just had kind of an idea in my head, and then I just put it into MIDI, and it's basically like two different things going back and forth. And
hey, Pookie Ann.
Pookie, great to see you.
And Chris Lane Senior as well.
Oh, I didn't say. Yeah, I posted Chris, but I forgot to say hello. And Mark.
Wow, good to see you, buddy.
So hold on, Rhett's got a long one. I've been trying to put my finger on what's missing from my music, but I played some live, Fortunate Son. It's so raw, I bet for Gotti was hell to play with. Fogarty. I bet Fogarty was hell to play with. He pushed meter so hard, but I still like the raw. I am so good at reading Mix Club.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it? You're qualified at it. It's incredible. But Mix Club, I understand puzzle. That. You're right. But you're right as well. And I'll tell you something, Mix Club. So when I started streaming, before I actually went streaming live on the drums, all just a response to when the world went mad. I was sort of a lot more of a perfectionist, this kind of studio-based person who wanted everything mint and sorted and just, you know, EQ'd or whatever it is. And streaming has taught me sort of back to this live thing where it doesn't really matter about some things if the performance is good, you know? And I think that's important as well. There's got to be some element of rawness in it in a good studio recording as well. There's got to be, you know, it's the old adage, isn't it? Can we have some more pain in the vocal, please? Can we have some more pain? but that thing, that rawness, is often, where it's at.
Oh, yeah.
Thing, where it's not so polished and it's not so perfect. So I think you're right, doing that little bit of letting it hang out a bit more and not being so fussy about a few things is often a good thing. And quite often as well, I like what we're just talking about. I think so. You just said yourself, it was the first thing you did. It was like your first drum line, really, that you went for. You picked that, and you picked that. And you did a drum line. You did a bass line. You had an idea.
Well, I did have an idea, but I probably worked on that longer than you think I did for what it came out to be.
Hold on a minute, though. Hold on. I know you. When you say you worked on it for longer, that's probably about 12 minutes for you.
No. I probably worked on that for like adding the drum and adding the bass, and I probably spent like 3 to 4 hours going through some ideas and trying to come up with something that I thought, I was like, okay, this is very fleshed out and very big, and I'm like, now this is a full arrangement sound. This is me. I'm totally like believing myself at this point where I'm like, this is it, totally, So I was really well, I was scared. I was scared to send it to you because I was like, you're going to rip me a new one, and you kind of did, but in the kindest way. You did it not. You're nice to work with, but but when you hear it, you are. I am still just hearing me playing my little guitar and singing the song, because that is how I'm writing the song. And so Chris says, I love
sunshine.
Oh, sunshine.
Hi, sunshine.
Chris says, I simply put this sort of, I love songwriter discussions. I don't put this sort of thought into it, and I appreciate those who do. And I mean, sometimes I don't know how much it's thought and how much it's feeling for me, to tell you the truth. I also, like Hugh said, I came in at Red's got a long one. That's when Hugh came in. In terms of the lyrics, like if I'm talking about songwriting, it's not necessarily I'm trying to like think about like what, but it is to me a more of an emotional or feeling kind of a thing than a logical. And really when I'm when I was trying to put the guitar in and trying to put the drums in and trying to put the bass in, I felt really more logical and distanced from it than I do when I'm writing the lyrics. And so for that song, I was on, it's actually one of the people in our circles who comes to shows and stuff. They put out an Instagram post that said, it basically, it was like one of those little pictures with words on it, and it said something like, live out loud and don't die in the silence, or something like that. It was the same line as my chorus, which is like, I should try living out loud before I die in the silence, is my line, which is the same line. But it came from when I saw that, I was really hit by that idea of this Instagram post. And I was like, so I was really in my feelings for, how does that make me feel, and what am I trying to say about that? So it's kind of to me, it's really not like, I'm more here when I'm
the same. I'm exactly
when I'm
the
writing
same.
the song.
When I'm writing the lyrics, it's always driven by the emotion. Otherwise I can't do it. I put it down and go and do something else, less boring instead. If I'm not feeling it, I'm getting out of bed, love. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. Because sometimes it doesn't always work as well, does it? So I find myself in that position with songs where I've got a third of a song maybe. I've never been able to finish it because I've never been able to get back into that feeling again, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But others you become obsessed with, don't you, where they've got to be finished.
Yeah. There's sometimes, and I think it's also more of like when I have that feeling where I really need to like sit and work on it when there's a part of it that I can't quite get together. Like I'm close, like it's on the tip of my tongue, and I'm trying to put that into words, what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. That to me always makes, if I'm kind of feel like I've got it and it's going on, I'm okay to set it aside for a while and come back to it, because I feel like the idea is there, and it's that when I'm in that turmoil part still. Seagull Rock Squawk has joined us, and
hey Seagull, Good to have you there.
See. Okay, I think I saw everybody.
Talking about the lyric as well. So you're, I mean, I don't want to. It's not that I'm saying I'm not invested in lyrics myself in the same way. I just don't think I'm invested in them as heavily as you are, as a sort of piece of prose or poetry or a tale or a story or.
Well, I think
I'm not really that invested, you know. So quite often I think I'll go with something that's sort of obvious that maybe the listener will know what's coming, if you like.
I think that is smart, though, because it's, you know, there's a lot of lyrics where if the person listening to it has an idea and a prediction of what's coming next, it makes them feel like, you know, they're part of the song. They've already heard it. They know what's going to happen. And, you know, you don't want to be too obvious. You don't want it to be, you know, but I think...
burning.
Yeah, I think it makes for, like, it gives the listener something to feel invested in and feel like they're part of. So this is, I think, Chris Lane says, lyrics just come to me. Once I get the chords and structure down, the words literally come right into my head. And I think that that's kind of the difference in, like, you're more into what Chris is doing. The way you write songs is you have this idea of, you know, of chords and structure and song down, and then you go and you're like, oh, well, here are the words that I'm feeling when I hear this, and you fill the words in. And I'm starting with no chords and no melody, and I'm starting with this idea of a thought, or, you know, sometimes it's like a rhyme or a couple of lines or just a phrase or an idea. And I do a lot of these, or I haven't done recently. I haven't, but I have done a lot of challenges where someone will say, "Write a song that's a lullaby," or "Write a song that's this kind of song," or "Write a song with an inspiration of this idea," and so that gives me a place to start. And I'm like, okay, so like I have that old Joe song. I was trying to write a song like Guns N' Roses' "Paradise City," where they say, "Take me down to Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Won't you take me home?" And so I wrote a song like that. It's about fishing. But at one part in the bridge, it says, both the sunshine... In the bridge, it says, both the sunshine and the women both get hotter farther you travel south. And that's where I started. And I was like, what am I writing about? I'm writing about a guy who goes down to Mexico to go fishing. And that was the song. And then I put like the melody down into what I've written, like here, you know, like, and then I choose chords that fit that for my voice, because, you know, like, where am I starting? You know, and as we've said, I like to just capo and figure out where I'm going.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I know, but
especially if, like, well. No, it's not that I don't do it, because don't get me wrong, I do, and I use the studio. I use a capo in the studio as a make it easy on myself tool sometimes, or to get a particular effect. So, for example, if you put a capo on a Stratocaster at the 10th fret, everything you play on it, if you play it on the back pickup, it doesn't sound like a guitar. It's a different instrument,
for sure.
You know,
yeah.
So there's kind of, you know, there's using a capo for different things, not just changing the key for playing open chords, basically.
Shut up. Well, I do think sometimes I do then like actually play the song in the right chords, but it does help me to find, because I do think it's an important thing of me finding where that melody that I have this idea, like here's a melody line that I think fits these lyrics, that makes sense and that moves, but where can I sing it? Where I can sing the bottom and I can sing the top and it's comfortable and I'm not stressing my voice to get either place. So Gary says, my internal editor makes writing lyrics so difficult. That prick. And I feel that too.
Well, I think Chris made a really good point with that when he says that some folks really overthink the lyrics. I'm not, you know,
totally,
but some folks overthink the lyrics and they're trying to be clever. So I do that myself. I kind of sometimes trip myself up trying to be too something with the words, too wordy or too clever. Just say what needs to be said, and I think there's a lot to be said for that, Chris. There really is, because we've talked about this, Valerie, where the difference in a musician's brain and a non-musician's brain or non-musical person's brain, how they perceive music is completely different. So we're looking for different things. And quite often, the listening public doesn't want to think too hard about it, you know?
And, you know, I think that part is also sometimes the lyrics being simple and, you know, even juvenile or something is the way to go. Like, not every song is supposed to, you know, needs to be like, oh, I'm so smart and I want to teach you something. Like, that's not like good and
No, of course, yeah.
in every, you know, usually ever.
I was reading Dostoevsky when I thought.
Yeah. No, hold on. I feel like this, Gary, that I do a lot of times have to fight for lyrics. And my thing I do is just, when I feel like I'm like really struggling, I try to write the worst lyrics that I could possibly come up with. Like, well, what are just what's this dumbest thing I can, you know, just anything. And this is also my part of where I have just so many lyrics for each song.
What you mean, know, like your heart's on fire with this burning desire?
I'll write it down. I'll put it in the thing. I'll make it like, okay, that's going to be the second verse, and then I'll move on. And then at some point I'll go, okay, hold on. What I really want to say here is, you know, screw all y'all, which is most of my songs. Fuck all this. But it just gives me a place where I'm like, okay, here's a placeholder. And that's why I think that, you know, writing lyrics, but then rewriting and editing the lyrics is as important, if not more important, than your original writing of the lyrics.
No, I do that all the time, but I think I do that from a sort of different. I do that as an ongoing filter as I'm writing them, almost. Mm-hmm. Or I might sketch out. I've got the rough idea, but then I do the same thing. I might put, you know, my heart's burning with a burning desire. You know, I might do it, but then I'll come back and I'll switch it to something else. I definitely do that.
Yeah,
and I think that's a healthy place to come from as well with your lyrics, to be a filter on your own lyrics sometimes.
Oh yeah, and it's hard to give that distance from it, especially, you know, because they're my precious song babies.
Every freaking syllable matters. Every
freaking syllable matters. And that's a good point.
They're my little word babies.
You know, but it's you know, as a lyricist, as somebody who's like trying to write, so like, oh, I really want to get this idea out so that, you know, Gary Hubbs will understand how I feel about this thing, and I want him to know exactly how I feel about it. But the truth is, half the time, Gary Hubbs is going to write different lyrics than what I'm saying because I'm not enunciating correctly, or because I'm from Colorado and he's from Canada and he just hears the word differently. Or, you know, if a singer, like we talk about singers who just sing weird, like the young girls who sing, I found it's called singing in cursive.
Oh no! Where that horrible, awful affectation.
It's kind of adding an I in between. Between the vowels. Hoyt. No. And I first heard it when like Lord Songs does it, and I just thought, oh well, she's from like New Zealand or something, and maybe that's what they sound like. I don't know. I've never been there. I don't know what they sound like.
Maybe she's from New Zealand, Bob.
That's what I was like. But then every young female singer has that same sound, and I'm like, are they all from New Zealand? Is New Zealand growing this? But some of them are American, and that's just an affect that everyone's using now. And so I don't know what the words are. You don't know what the words are, but we're still rocking it out in the car, you know, like driving down the street. I'm like, because it's fun, you know, because it has a good melody, because it has a banging beat, because it's, you know, you can get into it.
Well, I think this is one of the reasons. So you've ended up playing some of her songs, Holly Humberstone.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the main reasons. Now, this conversation covers a lot of ground, doesn't it? But that's one of the main reasons that I was really impressed with Holly when I first came across her, because she didn't have those silly affectations. She's very expressive in the way she sings, and she does play with her voice in different ways.
Right.
You know, where sometimes she almost speaks, or she just lets her word trail off.
Yeah.
But it's not affected in that way where it's uncomfortable to listen to, and she stands head and shoulders above all of this sort of strangely homogenized, weird sounding garbage to me. But I think a lot of it came from auto-tune as well. As you see, the generation that we're talking to have been brought up with auto-tune, and auto-tune does really strange things to a human voice. Well, if you're brought up with those strange things being how a singer sounds, you're more likely to affect your voice when you come to sing, because we're all standing on the shoulders of giants, aren't we? Sorry to quote your song, but we are, aren't we? In terms of musical, it's all done.
It's all been done. It's all been done.
But we're all inspired. There is nothing new under the sun, is there?
No.
And we're all inspired. So I'm not surprised in some ways. And it's not my cup of tea, but I don't hold it against anybody for singing like that. And they've got an audience. You know, they've got people who like it. It's just, for me, that sort of thing doesn't really wash. I can't handle it.
No, and I think they've stopped doing it as much. I think it was a very late teens, brief. Early 20, kind of thing. But but there's still songs that are on the radio that you still hear, and it's a sound like it, or even just like in the 90s, like the Fine Young Cannibals. What the hell was that guy saying? I don't know. But I sang along with it, with all these words that I thought he was singing, which were probably, probably not.
Come on home. He sounded like a cabaret singer for the most part.
Yeah. Right. I want to say hello to Limey Redneck, came in and did notice his new emoji, but has not seen it yet. So Sunday we will go over the new emojis.
Limey, you've made it to emoji level.
I got to tell you the story about the emoji on Sunday. So Chris says, I know it hurts our feelings as songwriters, but lyrics sometimes don't matter a single bit. No one knows what they are and no one cares. They just love the sound. And I think a lot of times that is totally true. I mean, it's, there's songs for all sorts of place, all sorts of scenarios in our lives.
Yeah, and I think this is why some bands such as Rush were never massively commercially popular, because the lyrics are a bit heavy going for the most part.
Oh yeah,
they certainly weren't very throwaway for the most.
Right. No, it's. I'm like Rush. I'm like, they were on the radio all the time, but it was really just that one song, probably.
What, Spirit of Radio again for the millionth time?
Is that what it's called? I don't know what the name of it's called. I don't know. But I like Hugh said, boob thing. Where have you gone?
Have you gone?
That boob thing. Boob thing. She cries me gravy.
That's great.
I hate to admit it, but I like Billy Ray Cyrus. Where am I going to live when I get home? I could always relate to that song. Oh, that's a really good, just in the lyrics of that is that, just feeling like relating to that feeling or idea as humans, sharing like that to me always gives me more of like that emotional connection to a song. And I think that's why I can really enjoy a Bob Dylan song and you're just like, screw this, because I'm really I can really listen to a song and just listen to the lyrics. And there's Bob Dylan songs that I love and I will cover, and I don't sing him a thing like he does. I've changed the melody. I've changed the rhythm. I take out verses.
Well done.
Because I'm like, excellent. I think you did all those things.
Change that shit.
But I love the words. I'm like, some of these words are amazing and some of these ideas are beautiful and it's just poetry. But you didn't need to sing 18 verses of it, Bob.
Yeah.
And it could have had a little bit more melody line, because and even at his best he only has this much range, so he's not singing. and this is, I think, we didn't really talk about this, but this is something important to me is when I'm like, I write lyrics down and then I try to come up with a melody, and I have these kind of rules in my head for making this melody that include
what rules?
They include.
Oh, okay.
I think that the verse.
There are rules.
I think that the verse and the chorus need to be different. They can use the same chords, but I think there needs to be a melody difference between the verse, and there needs to be and the chorus needs to come up and be like this, or it needs to have more range. It needs to do something different than the verse. The verses are, I'm telling you a story, and it's not gonna be so much. And then the chorus, it goes all about this, and it does it again, because there's something about like having repetition in it. But it's and then I think I love a song with a bridge where. And now here's a third idea that's totally different, but kind of in the same thing, but is gonna have a new chord. And
we're off to the relative minor.
And now I come back to the chorus again. And so
and return to the tonic.
Yeah. And so in when I'm writing, I have these kind of ideas. Now that my structure is not always the same. Sometimes I do like verse, chorus, and it doesn't have a bridge. There's, different things, but I do have like these idea, like I don't like, there's some Dylan songs that are exactly the same all the way through. He goes like this, like this, and it's boring to me, and it doesn't have a storyline in the melody. So I want the melody to have a direction and take a little trip.
Okay. All right.
And in my head, I don't know if I'm actually doing this.
I've got to be honest as well. I've said this to you many times, and in the chats and stuff. You're the only person who I've found who's ever made Dylan even remotely slightly acceptable to me musically. I know that's harsh, and I do really love Things Change and a couple of other tracks that I can kind of handle.
Right.
I
think that one is one that's been produced and arranged not by him. The version you like of that is somebody else arranged that and had him sing on it. And
that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah.
I think that's what happened. Because the ones that are just him just don't do. It's like when I do it, it just doesn't have that same.
Yeah, no, maybe. Maybe there's something about stuff. So like preconceived ideas. Now I've got I don't know when my image of Bob Dylan formed or what it was, but I remember going through vinyl collections and stuff, and it was strange. So my mum, my brother, friends, families, album collections, and we'd be going through album collections and playing stuff. Bob Dylan was never, ever, ever, ever once pulled out, or never once did I want to. And over the years, I think maybe some of that's got involved where I've just formed this image where I don't like Bob Dylan. And then tracks popped up where I thought, oh, that's actually quite good. But this preconceived notion just puts me off. And then you do it, and the way it's presented with a different kind of feeling involved, I appreciate the song, which is completely outside of Bob. It's got nothing to do with him at that point. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So it's not necessarily that I don't like any of his music. It's just maybe it's the way it was presented by him.
Right.
Or him as a person, just him as a person. Because I'm like anybody else. There's just people I don't like. And I don't even know why, but I don't like them.
Neither does Minnie Vibes. She's also like, screw that guy. And I don't have that. Like, I didn't really grow up with Bob Dylan so much as find him a little bit later after college, I think. But it's just always been someone I've related to what he's saying. And also, I think he just puts out so many songs, so many albums. Oh, yeah. Some are crap, some I don't like at all. But when there's that many, like, it's just, I can be like, well, I like these. There's nobody I like all their songs. I'm always kind of like, I like every album. I'm like, I like these 3 songs, and I'm going to listen to those 3 songs and ignore the rest of the album.
Yeah.
And some are just like, they're okay, and some I'm like, just don't like. Hub says, every syllable has to pass 2 tests. Phonetically, does it do what it needs to do? And in the context of the line, does it make sense? Where my abstract thinking bros at? And I like that idea of, I do think, the lyrics, I like to think about them in those. Like, am I saying what I need to say? Phonetically and rhythmically, does it have to, is it working in my rhyme scheme correctly? Is there just a better word that says this in a more succinct way? And Chris just says, does this flow or am I overthinking it? And he's on the let's not overthink it line, which is a way to go. I mean, there's really no right answers here.
There's always a line between things, isn't there? Kind of thing. But and I think we do both get involved with that, where you've got to go with the flow. Now, we work differently as people, and we come at these things differently as people. So, for example, you're coming at it from a viewpoint of the lyric more, and Chris is coming at it from a slightly different viewpoint where I am. But essentially, you're still heading to the same place.
Right. We're all creating songs that we want to, that are saying the thing that we want to say. It's not like Chris is not trying to, he's also like, this is what I want to say. He's just being less picky about which, like I could spend a long time and put out too many words and come down, whereas and you both are like, let me just get some words and put them in here and,
kind of get to the point a bit quicker and not be so attached to it in that sense, I think.
I like a mixed club. We'll read this one. Hey, Robbie, get a dictation player. Just let's everyone read dictation. Like the handheld thing that the doctor's talking. Yeah, it's a dictation machine. This threw me off. So I can't remember what I was saying before that. Hugh says, I have a ton of songs with no lyrics, but they're almost fully formed. And
okay, what you mean with melodies as well, Hugh?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Does it have the melody line? That's a good question. Every once in a while I do come up with like some melody line that I try to feel like I'm like, oh, I really like this idea or this chord structure. I'd like to try to put something in there. So every once in a while it does. I do kind of come from that, but even then it's usually just the start to get my lyrics started, and then sometimes it goes somewhere else. And I'm more into like, am I getting to say what I want to say?
I'm laughing at Rhett as well in the background. I know what you mean with that. Yeah.
Bands only ask me one time to print the set list.
Yeah. Exactly.
So Chris says he captures the essence with the lyrics, then you can always refine them. Totally. But for me, I got to get the lightning in the bottle or lose it trying to think too hard about the perfect word or phrase.
I'm with you, Chris. Yeah. I do that, definitely.
I have this kind of issue. When I am writing, I'm constantly recording what I'm doing because I will forget like the rhythm of my words or the melody idea I have or something like. So I keep all the like little bits as I'm working on it and go back and I'm listening to it and you're like, okay, no, this is where I want to be, because I do get this kind of same feeling, but I want to then work on it too much. I want to over-process it. Mine is like lunch meat. It's super over-processed. His is a fine steak.
I come at it much more from a point of view of like I'm carving a piece of stone, and once I've chipped a bit off, it's gone. It's on the floor. It's not. I can't glue it back on. So I'm doing this process.
Have you heard of super glue? You know that Japanese thing where they fill it in with gold and they're like, all better.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
that's what I'm doing. Yeah, because I feel, and I don't think that that there's like a right and wrong answer, unless you want to be like, he's right and you're wrong. But I don't think I think, there's the melody is super important, and I really care about melody, and I really do like work to have something that I think is an interesting melody, or that fits the song, or that fits the mood of it. But in my writing, it's always coming second to, like, my lyrics are almost always coming first. And that's kind of why I'm excited about the song that we're writing, which we are kind of stuck at we haven't worked on it.
It's waiting for my vocal.
We're in a waiting period.
Other things have been happening.
We've done other stuff, but like so far in the song, like Mr. Smith has put a whole, like, here's how I envision the song to be, with all the instrumentation and how it is. It's full length, and then I came in and said, here's what I think the lyrics could be, and here's how we could perform it maybe. And so we're kind of in this, like, how will we arrange these lyrics? Will all these lyrics stay? Do all these lyrics work?
And how do we form it as a duet? Because this is one of those where we are literally doing a duet, isn't it? Which is different. Yeah. It's very different for me.
Oh, yeah, for me too. For me too.
But I think this is going to be a little bit of a process where, we record and then maybe go again because we think it works better a different way.
I think it's going to be a thing where we, like, do a couple of different ways and listen and see which works best. And
I suspect so, yeah.
But it's also just in a different song. Like, this is not normally when I'm writing songs for me to perform solo with a guitar, and this is just a different thing because this has none of those, qualifications for being qualifiers for being a song. No. It's a whole new thing. Yeah, this is a thing, like, that is it's truly collaborative and not a me song.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is. I mean, the piano as well. It's one of the nicest little bits of piano, personally. So if I was going to sit down and play the piano for a little bit, I'd probably be playing that little bit that I've written for that. Mm-hmm. It's just really nice the way it all works, and I think the song it needed. But I couldn't write a song for it. I couldn't get something right on it. I don't know what I was missing, but I couldn't do it. So it needed you, and then the female vocal just makes sense on it as well, to me. And on this one, I'm not really involved in the editing process on the lyrics very much, to be honest.
Well, I think you should be.
Only when so to me, from my perspective, it's about whether it suits the arrangement. So if it's too wordy, we have to chop that sentence down,
Completely.
That's where I'm at with
it.
So is that fundamental to the melody? Yes, I suppose it is, because the melody is defined by its rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do often find that we have to go back and adjust things, but I think from what we've got so far, I think it's going to be all right. It's just a case of how best to arrange it, like you say.
I do think for a song that I've written lyrics to, it has very few words.
Right.
And I think that was even something I was thinking of when I was writing. I was very conscious of, I always write so many words. And this is not that kind of song where I'm like doing, because I like to, I'm like a half a rapper.
What genre is it? What genre is it?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know what genre anything is. I'm the worst at that.
Is it a pop ballad?
Kinda.
Is it
I don't know. I don't know what these words mean. I don't know what pop is anymore. It's not a rock song in that it's not heavy on 4/4 and bass and dry. But it's not a folk song. It's not a country song. Can it be an indie song or something? Like, it's just an in between. It kind of, I guess I envision it kind of has like this half of a Portishead kind of a feel, tied with like, but a little fuller, like to me, sometimes Portishead is a little thin. I was brought. So Keith mentioned where'd it go? Keith mentioned that Hosier song I do that Too Sweet. I take my whiskey neat. My coffee. I played that today at Friday Song Club. I don't know if you heard. Do you know what song I mean? It's on the radio all the time, and that's where I heard it. And I think
I listened to it tonight, but I can't remember it. I can't call it to mind.
So I like this song a lot because it both has. I like the lyrics. There's a few lyrics that I think of are strange, and I'm like, that's an interesting choice of lyric. Like, I wouldn't pick this lyric ever. Okay. But the chorus is, I think, really, really strong, and the melody is amazing. And this guy can sing. I mean, this guy's an amazing singer. He's got crazy range. But he has such an interesting melody that let me the two parts of the song. So his chorus is, I think I'll take my whiskey neat, my coffee black, and my bed at 3. You're too sweet for me. So, he's singing a song. It's like, I'm just going to stay up late at night and drink. And because it starts that you can't be said I'm an early bird. It's 10 o'clock before I say a word. I can never tell, how do you sleep so well? So it's kind of like the difference between us, in the sense of like, I go to bed at 9:30 and you go to bed at 5:30.
Yep.
And so it has this cool idea. He has a bridge that just goes, ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Oh, no, he does not.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. And I like all of it.
Hold on. Sorry. Yellow card situation.
Okay.
If you're so big on the lyrics, how can you accept a middle 8?
Because
it should be called, as an ooh.
Now I have my Lost in Conversation has an ooh middle 8. Because I like it, because sometimes there's so much going on in the rest of the song that the ooh is a nice break from there's so much information being said in the rest of the song. So I like it. I don't hate that. My only thing is I don't like this one line. So he says, "Who wants to live forever, babe? You treat your mouth as if it's heaven's gate. The rest of you, like you're the TSA." And every time I sing that line, I'm like, what the fuck, Hosier? What is
What's
this line?
TSA?
I don't get it. I don't understand what he's trying to say about how you treat the rest of you like you're the TSA. What does that mean? Is that like getting felt up by the TSA agent? What does it mean? I don't know.
What is the TSA?
Oh, it's Transportation Safety Administration. Like when you're at the airport and you have to go through security.
What?
When you go through security at the airport, you go through TSA in America.
And that's the lyric.
So, yes. So, and that's an interesting part where as a Brit, you were just like, I don't even know what the fucking TSA is. So, like, that's telling to me because it's not a universal kind of line either, which I think is, I mean, it's sometimes important, but again, none of these things are all that important. But it's that I've sung this song a few times. I love the melody. I love how he sings it. He does a beautiful job at it. But yeah, he does an ooh, 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 middle 8, and he sings this stupid ass line about the TSA that I'm never going to get. I mean, maybe someone can explain it to me, but I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Justine, how are you doing?
Oh, is it Justine Katzberg? I missed her today. I sang Justine's song.
That you like the whole song apart from that one line.
I mean, like, I think sometimes I only like one line, and I will sing that whole song just to get to that one line.
Oh, yeah, and I can feel you with that. I can listen to a song to get to one little musical moment, definitely.
Justine.
Or one drum fill, you know?
Oh, well, okay. Chris has a line about the TSA, but I'm not going to read it out loud. But I'm posting it on the screen for everyone to read.
Hey, John Wiggs is in as well. Good to see you, John.
Taste is another thing.
Thanks for coming over.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a big thing. there are songs for every taste and every sound and it's just like some people don't like cilantro. Some people don't and it's like your music and the way you write it and the song you have to say, it's somebody out there is waiting for that, wants that sound.
Of course.
It's not the thing like there's a good way to do it and you should be.
And there's no right and wrong.
No.
Really.
And
not really at all.
And the minute I think it's always that moment when someone breaks that one of these rules that we have in our culture of like how a song should be, that it like just takes music to a new level. And it's something you're like, this is the newest, this is the best thing ever. Because it will break one of these little rules we have in our heads about how songs should be. And it's like, this is what we need now. And then everyone will write that song.
Choose to do that. Of course. Yeah. And there's a myriad of bands that follow in the wake that try to imitate it. Yeah, we get that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's got to be something to do with breaking the mold as well. So that, I mean, coming from that sort of A part is the verse, B part is the chorus, C part is the bridge, and we do A, B, C, B, ad-lib to fade. Is that how you like to write? Verse, chorus, middle eight, double chorus out?
I probably have more songs that do that, but I think there's just more songs in the world that do that. That format works, doesn't it? That format's just very common and it's easy, but I don't set out to do that. Not that I don't end up doing that, but I don't care so much. I don't know what the form of the song is going to be when I'm starting the lyrics.
Okay.
And I don't try to force it. And sometimes when I'm writing, I'll write and I'll be like, oh, this definitely has some kind of a pre-chorus and a thing. And usually I don't give a shit about a pre-chorus. But sometimes it just feels like, oh, this line needs to be repeated here. And this, and to me, a pre-chorus is different from the chorus in that it's different in melody or chords. And comes before, but not always before. Like the chorus will repeat itself without the pre-chorus.
A pre-chorus to me can only be determined by the fact that it repeats at least twice.
Yes.
And it is a definite section with different melody and chords to the verse and the chorus.
Yes.
That's the only way it can be called that.
I agree with all those things. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just you're trying to say the back half of your verse is a pre-chorus and it's pretentious bullshit.
Or your chorus is just a two-part chorus kind of a thing. Because sometimes that's true. Sometimes it is just like a two-part chorus and you're repeating that whole thing. Yeah. I think it's kind of like how if you ever then split those two things up later, it's now a pre-chorus. So Hugh asks, what's a good way to get out of the rhyming thing? It gets me stuck all the time.
I would suggest, Hugh, just as though, so lay it out as though you're moaning to somebody or you're saying, right, I'll tell you what it is, right? What happened is, this did this, and I felt like this, and then that happened, and then you won't believe it. This is what went on after that. And if you try and explain it as a conversation, in that will be a song, trust me. Mm-hmm. And you won't have to look for the rhyme. It'll have a flow to itself. And then it's just about filtering that out into a more sort of cohesive, fit it into the arrangement thing. But be conversational, I would say. Mm. The best exponent of that, you've got to say, would be Alanis Morissette.
Mm-hmm.
Where rhyming doesn't really matter because she just starts speaking and gets to the end of the song, mostly.
Right. I think, and in that sense, I love a rhyme. I mean, sometimes I will have two rhymes in one line that, all the way through or something. But my goal when I'm writing the lyrics is to rhyme the end of every, 4 lines or something. I don't try to, I don't necessarily try to
see that a lot with
rhyme a lot. I will do one. I almost never, sometimes I do. But I rarely rhyme every line in couplets. Mm-hmm. I think couplets sound like a nursery rhyme. And I really try to avoid a couplet at all costs. And it's the easiest thing to do and your brain does it.
It is and the sad part about that is that pop music works particularly well with that.
Oh yeah,
it's built for it, isn't it?
Every pop song loves it, and there's that part too where it's like the advice I'm telling you, I'm not giving you advice, but the theories I have about writing songs and about how lyrics and all this stuff. So I have zero popular song. I have no hit songs at all. I have exactly zero songs on the radio. No one is bopping along to my songs. You're not hearing my songs on commercials.
Nope.
And you never will. They're just not that kind of song. Nope. I'm not even in this.
Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Sorry.
Michelle's awesome. Yeah, I'm not even in that mind frame to ever think that's a possibility. So I don't even think like of that idea.
Okay, I get what you're saying, and yeah, you're right. However, I don't think commercial success is is what defines a good songwriter in my world.
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying, like these are not like, this is not advice in how to get your song played on, a big channel or something at all. Like, because I don't know how. I have no clue. I'm not doing that, obviously.
No, and we are just kind of discussing around it, I suppose, really.
Yeah, I think
we do come from two different perspectives, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, yours is a little more in that sense because you're coming as a person who commercial in the sense of, as a producer, like as somebody who's, produced bands and singers, who's, played in large bands, who's been on tour and things. You've done things in a more professional sense. And I'm coming at this from I did open mics for a while until I started booking my own shows. And now I have a YouTube stream. So it's I know, don't all be really impressed right now. I know it sounds amazing, but it's, I'm at that, I'm just coming at this from this real yokel perspective of, I didn't write a song until I was 36. And I really had to go to song clinics and go to song group things and talk about how to write songs, because I don't know how to write songs and I don't know how to express how I'm feeling. I don't know what different kind of rhyme schemes there are, and I don't know what I think about a song structure and, like how a different song structure will help what I'm trying to say, and get my point across and stuff. And, but it's just, so it's definitely like, I don't think we could be further apart in where we're coming from.
Absolutely. Yeah, we literally do come from opposite ends of the spectrum with it. And that's one of the things that makes it interesting working with you musically. No. Because we do come from such different places. Because that makes for some interesting communication, doesn't it?
Okay. I think we blipped out for a second, but hopefully not for long.
Okay.
I can never tell what's happening. I'm just going to keep going.
Whether we're streaming or not.
Whether we're streaming or not, I'm enjoying the conversation. But yeah, so it's like it keeps disconnecting and reconnecting to the chat. So my internet's good. Oh, okay, well, it's fine. So Hugh says, any band I have been in, I wrote a lot of the music only, but I do want to write my own lyrics to my acoustic pieces. And I think there is just something real human about just wanting to get a feeling across, and an acoustic song just gives it that space.
I can see why, because this is the performative aspect plays a part with this, doesn't it? So for you perform as an acoustic guitar singer.
Yeah.
Guitar playing singer. So that when you come to perform a song, that has to marry, that arrangement has to carry with that song. And it is different to when the vocal goes with a full band, isn't it? It just is. There's a lot more to lean on with a full mix. You know, you can leave a lot more space. You can do a lot less, kind of thing.
And it's really like I've tried to play these songs with a full band, and that's been an issue. Is that it's too much of me, and there's not enough space to have the rest of the band play. That's been an issue.
Yeah, I'd have to say that's probably the fault of the musicians, though, because if they're getting in the way of the song, then they're not probably the right musician for the job. Because it should be sympathetic, shouldn't it? That's one of my jobs. Yeah, it's not kind of, oh, I know how your song should sound good, so I'm going to do all of these things. It's more, your song is telling me that what we should do is do this to it. And then hopefully that proves itself, you know?
I hear you, but I also think if you're playing acoustically solo, you try to be the whole band. And when you're a whole band, you can really rely, you can do less and it just has more oomph. And giving, that, and that's when, just having that melody and giving that the space. And those of you who are writing songs that are like these full arrangements that always have drums and bass and guitar and everything on them, like you were filling in all that time and space where I'm like, let me get a few more words in because there's nothing else happening in here, but you're looking at me right now. And so I'm filling in this whole space. Like I'm coloring the whole thing.
Can we chop that lyric out and have a touch of piano melody or a bit of slide guitar in this instead?
Right.
That's kind of.
Justine says, hold on. So she says,
hey, Fish, really good to you as well.
Justine says, any poetry or lyrics I write up end up being so cheesy. And this is me. I'm like a well-aged Gouda. I got a whole bunch of cheese hanging out. And I feel this a lot because it's but it's
the thing is though, so for example, cliches only exist because they're true. So, and the birthday cards or the Valentine's Day cards with the mushy message that we've all kind of heard before, but they've just been rephrased in some way or something. Mm-hmm. They still make the point and they still connect with people. So Justine, again, I think maybe don't be too worried that it's cheesy. Just do it anyway, because for somebody else, it's not cheesy at all, and you've explained life, the universe, and everything in a way that they couldn't understand it before, and you've laid it out. Mm-hmm. And because you've done it so cheesy, which usually just means simple, maybe you've connected with these people where something complicated wouldn't have done.
Right.
So there's always a place for that. Always.
Yeah. And sometimes the thing that seems really cheesy is if you just do something like sing it twice, like repeat that cheesy line again, make it on purpose. Like I meant to say that. say it one more time. Repeat that chorus of cheesiness.
One more time.
Yeah, because now it's like, I'm telling you this, I want you to think about this line that, that it could be considered cheesy, but if you do that, especially with how you lay it in the melody, with what kind of accompany, like what you're doing with the rest of the song, all those things together make it, into a delicious queso versus, cheese on a cracker or something.
What's a queso?
That's what you put your tortilla chips in and you eat it with the tortilla chips.
Oh, right. Okay. Like a salsa.
It's like a hot, gooey cheese of meltedness, and they've put peppers and onion stuff in it, and it's delicious.
Always cheese, isn't it, in America? It's always cheese.
Okay, that's Mexican or Texican, but it's still.
Texas is America, Valerie. It's America, Texas. Just reminding you.
Well, as a Texan, we don't have to be. That's all. We're just
talking about secession again, Bob.
We are. You're lucky we're still here. So I liked. Rhett mentioned. I think it was Rhett. I have to figure out where he said it. Has anyone heard? He said, "Has anyone heard a poem that made a good song?" One thing, and this kind of goes with this cheesiness line. So in my song "Pray," this song is very important to me because I wrote it at a very particularly emotional time in my life.
You did.
And the second verse of it is, "At night when I lay down to sleep. I pray to the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." Guess what? I did not write that. That's just a common, in our culture prayer. And even when I did it, it's like, this is such a, I struggled with that, keeping it in, because it was saying exactly what I wanted to say, but it also to me is like, it's cheesy and that I'm just stealing, just straight up theft of this children's prayer.
Yeah.
And
Metallica did it as well.
Tons of people have done it. And I've used this very line. It's very common. It's in 1,000 things. But in the end, I was like, I'm keeping this because, first of all, it's saying what I want to say. And also because it is something that people know. So things that are sometimes seem cheesy is like, this is just something that is in our common culture. And that if you start it, people will be able to, on the first take, kind of get through it with you. Mm-hmm. And that to me is that's really powerful, is when I'm singing a song in a club or at a restaurant or something. And on the second time through the chorus, people are singing along with me on a song they've never heard before. That's an original song they don't know anything about. But because if I can get the simplicity and the repetition right and the melody right and, give them a way to know when it's going to happen, man, people want to have that experience of
course.
Of doing that together.
Yeah.
And it's like Justine says, "Turn, turn, turn" is based on a psalm. I mean, so much like that is. And it's...
Yeah.
It could be really powerful.
Hughes just mentioned "Playing for Time," one of my songs. Well, Hugh, you know what I said to you before about being conversational? So if you take the lyric for "Playing for Time," and I just say, I'm not out to get to you like that. It's just, it's part of me feels like I want to know you more. I couldn't really give enough time to be more than your friend, but you inspire some kind of charge. Mm-hmm. Now that's just me talking to somebody. There's no rhyme in it, and it's just me being conversational. So.
There's no rhyme until that end of that line.
No, there's nothing. It doesn't. It just, and it literally is just what was in my head to say. That literally, as though it was said at somebody. Mm-hmm. But when you put it into a song form and you just break it up and you give it a little melody, the words have a bigger impact. It doesn't seem conversational, but it really is. It's just you could just type it out on a keyboard as saying it to somebody, And that's a different kind of song for me because it is so conversational like that. Usually I would go for more rhyming structure to it. But this wasn't. This was very much just say it like it is. And it doesn't rhyme, but sing it anyway. Mm-hmm. So what? It doesn't rhyme. So what?
Oh, yeah. It's, right. There's a lot of, and I think that sometimes in lyrics, we rely on rhymes too much when we can use the melody and the structure of the melody to make up for that lack of rhyme. If it has, and I think that Playing for Time has that kind of thing where, because it's got such a strong melody line, you're not counting on a rhyme to give you that kind of feeling of, you don't need the cadence of it. Right, because the melody's giving it to you.
Yes, yeah, very much so, yeah. And well, Hugh, you could use that yourself, because I presume you've got kind of melodies or tunes in your head for them. And that's exactly what Valerie's saying, that sort of the tune can carry something that isn't necessarily it doesn't rhyme or it doesn't fit with the last line or something, don't worry about it, because the melody can carry it, you know? Mm-hmm. Just do it anyway. And the thing is as well, so we were talking last time about this list, you know, a bit of a checklist to do before you record a song. Now, for Hugh in particular, now I'd say do it as a demo, Hugh. Just do it, spit it out and do it as a demo. And then the thing, don't put it out. So send it over to me or send it to Valerie or something, and one of us will, if you want, just give you a couple of pointers with it or something, or maybe say, no, don't do anything, that is perfect, which I suspect might happen a lot, you know? Because if you've been wanting to do it as well, if you just let it come out, spit it out, and don't be too precious about it, I think you might be surprised, mate. I think it'll go well for you if you just do it, you know? But if you do get stuck with anything like that, just give us a shout and we'll sort it out. Just no problem.
And, you know, and that's been huge to me as a songwriter. I'm lucky enough to live in a community that has a ton of songwriting groups. Like, I go to song school. It's just up the street for me. People go from all over the country to come to this thing, and it's just like 15 minutes from my house. And we have a lot of groups where, like, my friend Tim will have a song group. We'll all go over to his house. Well, you know, he has drinks and coffee and stuff, and we sit there and we share our songs we're working on. We're like, you know, whether it's I have this where I think it's done. How do you react to this song? Or to have questions like, I have this verse, but I don't know how to connect it to this chorus. And so it's having a community to bounce these ideas. It's huge. It's been huge to me. I don't think I would be nearly have written as many songs as I have if I didn't have other people to bounce these ideas off of in a very non-judgmental, non-competitive. There's no expert. We're all just giving our opinions about how we perceive what we're hearing.
Yeah.
And that can be, you can take what you want, you can leave, you know, what you need to leave. And
this is it, isn't it? And so sometimes you in this, you've got somebody, you ask them, what do you think about this? And they might give you an opinion, and you might think, well, or they might give you a suggestion. You think, well, no, not really. But that, I think, and that's one of the most difficult parts to deal with on both sides of that relationship. So, for example, I said to you when you sent that track, I can hear a different arrangement, and that was me sort of saying to you, can you let me chop up what you've done at least and show you what I mean? And it's easy to get butthurt with stuff like that on both sides. So you could have said, no, I like that. Can you just mix that? And I would have gone, well, she doesn't trust me.
right.
You know, I could have taken it like that. Or you could have taken it in a way where you said, well, that's not what I've done. It's not good. He doesn't think it's good enough and stuff. So, this back and forth is actually really healthy, as long as it's in a proper forum where if you don't like it, you can say no, it's all right, and it's not the end of the world. And at the same time, you can offer a criticism, and it doesn't mean anything about the person. It's literally about what we're talking about. It's about the music. It's
and how to make this song sound the most like what this song needs to be as a little song baby.
Correct.
And I think we did that too. You know, there were parts that you came out with on your first arrangement that I was like, I don't like how this sounds.
Yeah,
this sounds too complicated. It doesn't fit my, you know, how I feel like the song is supposed to sound at all. And then, you know, you changed those things, and, you know, and so much of what you did is things that I would never have thought of to do. So, you know, like there's an intro I would never have thought of to do, like the slide guitar never would have thought of to do, especially how you've done it, like the notes you've laid down. It's not even in my galaxy at all. Like there's not in numerous universes. I have no. So there's a part where, you know, like it's not like, it truly did feel like this really nice collaboration. And that part is nice to work out. Because I have tried to do collaborations with people who are very precious about every part of the song. know that, you know, like that's, they're like, this is important to me about the song. And if you don't like that part, we can't change it. And now we're at a bit of a standstill, and it's maybe just not the right person to work with. Because, I mean, that's another thing is finding the right person to do that with. Like Chris Lane mentioned that this is why he's lucky to have Songwriters Anonymous. So they have, they found a group of people, and they've really, you know, they've chosen the people that they like to work with, that they feel like they can bounce ideas off of in the right way that works for them. And, you know, and that's really precious to have that kind of relationship with people.
It is. I mean, I know people like Tom Carraher and Jason Lemansky have got that kind of group as well, and I know there's a lot involved in that group that really help each other out. And it is, I mean, with you, collabs can be tricky, but when it comes to doing what you're talking about, Hugh, with putting songs together and stuff as an original artist, I think it'd probably really help if you bounce some things between us, you know. I think it's well worth doing, and I'm more than up for doing it, you know, because that's basically what I do, Hugh. I take other people's music, and I prefer working on other people's music than my own. My own voice annoys the crap out of me. I just can't be bothered with my own stuff. I'm not interested in. I find it hard to get motivated for that. But you give me somebody else's track, and I'm up for 3 days like an amphetamine addict. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With no amphetamine. David's here as well. Live to Fly. Really good to see you, buddy.
David. I like John Wiggs says. So John Wiggs says, I can't get away from the rhyme line game. It feels natural to me. And Robbie mentions a lot of time how you say the word makes it rhyme or not. And saying the whole word differently can be a difference, you know, like not if you're saying nothing or ain't or nothing, or, you know, like the way the words you use, the way you say the words, sometimes it doesn't actually rhyme, but you can say it in a way that gives you enough closeness that makes it flow, because it's really about that flow of the line versus, and I get the part where it's hard to not think in rhymes. When we do our group songwriting club thing, we've done twice now. It's really hard. Like when we get, somebody will come up with an idea and come up with a line. Everybody wants to just rhyme that with the next line immediately. We've come up with one line. Let's rhyme this line with something. And it's like,
hey, Charlie, good to see you.
And my idea is, let's continue this story. So we've got a line. What happens next in this story? Don't rhyme it. Don't try to just it's, you know, it's more like your conversational thing. Like what's the next idea we have? We can always make it rhyme later. We can always twist words around. We can.
That's a really good point. Because basically what you're saying there is, so very quickly you take the next step in the story. Whereas if you're looking for a rhyme, that's an immediate sticking point.
Yes. And you're you're making this lyrical rhythm happen automatically before you've decided what's happening in your song, or where, you know, so if you step back from the rhyme, you're giving yourself more space to create something.
Because you can always take the point of what you said and then fit it into you can rewrite the word, you can rewrite the lyrics to make it rhyme or to make it flow or to make it rhythmically correct later on. But I think you're right, just taking that next step in the story and just step, and then you go back and give it a filter is a much more effective way of working, because it's much more productive and it enables a flow from you. You don't put these hurdles in your way all the time. You know?
Justine mentions that she hasn't delved into writing music, but because she doesn't have a choral instrument, she just plays the violin.
I saw that comment, Justine. I'm glad you picked that up, actually, because I was going to say something about that and I forgot. Justine, don't be put off by just having a violin, because some of the nicest music in the world is written for string quartets, and you can do something with just a 2 violin arrangement and a tune, and you've got as strong a song as anybody could have, you know. Or the other thing is, we have a very big pool of musical people here as well. if you just laid something down. So if you recorded something to a click track and make sure your violin is tuned to begin with, then there's a lot of people here that would help you flesh out something and make it into a full track as well. You know, so don't be afraid of just playing a solo instrument like that and making it work as a song. Because if you can hear it and you can translate the chords and some of the melodies with the violin and the voice, somebody like myself or other people in the community can easily break that down and then build it into a song. You know, so I would say do it. Even if you think it sounds sparse and empty, don't worry about that. Just do it.
Yeah. And I'd also, look to how Leela often does this in writing songs. Like she uses programs that, like let's just get a basic chord structure down or, and write a song over that. You can always change that chord structure. It can always be improved or made more complicated or whatever. But it gives you that rhythm and it gives you a space to, because sometimes I'll start on something. I'll get kind of a first verse or a first idea for a chorus. I will just play that guitar part and loop it. And I'll sit here and just kind of have that going while I try to think about how this could go. Sometimes sometimes it doesn't help. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, actually, that's not it. But it often gives me somewhere to start. And another one is just taking somebody who's writing a lot, like get together with somebody like Hugh or somebody like E. Urban, who's writing a lot of instrumental things, and just ask for their, try to write a song to one of their things. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it's somewhere to start where at least you have the space to work with, and you don't feel like you're kind of floating, because sometimes writing without an instrument feels a bit like floating in space.
It does. And for somebody like Justine, that's particularly difficult because of just the register of the violin as well. So the lowest note on a violin isn't very low, is it? Let's be honest. So it's very difficult to put a bass line in, and stuff. But if Justine maybe just try it. I think I'd certainly be interested, Justine, in having a look at something you did and seeing if I could flesh it out. Definitely.
Yeah. Sweet dreams to Michelle. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Oh, bless you, Michelle.
I didn't know she was in Dublin. I like this. I'm looking for reasons to go to Ireland, so I'm just saying. I'm like, why can I go back to the UK?
Why don't you come back to the UK and we'll go to Ireland and we'll drink some Guinness?
I don't drink.
I'll drink some Guinness for you.
You can. I'll be the designated driver.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think, especially in a community like this where there's so many people, there's both people who are, putting out music and then so many people who want to put out music, that there's a lot of opportunity here to work together. And, like for the Songwriters Anonymous group, it's just people who have found themselves in this, who've decided like, oh, hey, I like how your music is. I like, let's try this together. And there's just so many people here to try that with. And sometimes it doesn't work the first time. Sometimes you gotta.
Well, and we've got Chris. We've got people like Chris in the community who's kindly said that I can drink Guinness in Chris's honour as well. So I can have one that I want, and I can have one on behalf of Chris.
You're gonna be trashed.
Chris, you're a good man. I don't know how you can be so so giving like that. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah.
I will enjoy that Guinness.
I think Hugh's a great example of just, like you're doing a lot of covers, but they're, doing a lot of collaborations together. Is sometimes the first step is doing these cover songs, working with somebody, seeing how you work together, finding like, oh, hey, I think we should try to write something together, or maybe here's something I'm working on. Let me see what you think about this. And if you, just getting, because it was really tough for me in the beginning to accept criticism without feeling criticized.
Yeah, it can be difficult. It can. Yeah, without taking it as a personal thing.
Yeah, because especially I'm so sensitive. I'm just like, oh. And we've had this where we have to be like, sometimes you're going to say something to me about, I'm going to be butthurt. You're going to say, and I'm immediately going to be butthurt. But that's not a reason for you not to say it. We just got to let me be butthurt for a few minutes and then get over it and be like, okay, let me try it. And I'm either like, yes, I like this, or no, I don't. But let me actually try it and process it, and not just feel like, oh, you don't like me because you don't like my song or you didn't like my lyric. Obviously, you hate me now. Because because as a super sensitive person, I'm immediately go to everybody hates me. So I have to.
Hi, Brenda.
Hey, Brenda.
Well. Really good to see you. It's made more difficult, isn't it, by the fact that what we're talking about here is it's linked to our very personal selves, isn't it?
And my little song babies.
Centers. The little song babies, yeah, and they come. Actually, they actually worm their way out of your heart, yeah. And then
yes, I birth them, right.
And they sit on your shoulder, and then next minute they fly off into the world as little grown-up songs. But yeah, I know, I get it. But,
let's all write the song "But Hurt Hurts."
Yeah, it's just a process, though, isn't it? Especially when it comes to a working relationship.
Yeah, for sure. And Hugh mentioned that it'd be a good topic to have about how to work with other people, and I think we should have this just for me. No, it will be like therapy, as Gary says, because it'll just be like, this is how you need to handle this, Valerie, and not be so sensitive. Because there is a lot of ego to get over in working with somebody. And getting criticism about your song and getting, Shazak, so great to see you.
Hey, Shazak's here. Nice one.
Love that. Because, it's... it's. I know I'm too sensitive about things, and I've actually gotten better since I've started, but it's still not great. I still take things too personally and have to really think and be like, okay, let me just take this as an advice that I may or may not accept. Like, I can hear it, I can process. I think even for like for the premiere, which will happen Sunday, of my song Silence, that Mr. Smith mixed, mastered, and produced, I showed you the video, and I'd made the video, and I was like, this is the best video ever. This video is perfect, and it's done, and it's all done. And I showed it to you, and you're like, you could do this. And you had a little list of like things that I could change. There were four things. And I was like, damn it. Now it's like, screw this guy. And I was all mad, and I stomped around for a few minutes. And then I was like, dudes are stupid. I'm not going to do any of them. And I think I even replied, I like 2 of these. And the other, and I didn't say this part out loud, but I was like, and the other 2 suck. But that's what I thought. And so I was like, okay. So I opened the video file again, and I went back through, and I did the one thing, and I was like, yeah, that is good. I like that. And then one thing, like you said to do, and I was like, actually, I don't want to do what you're saying, but there is something about this that I want to change to make that more of that effect, but just not exactly what you said. But it's basically the thing you said. And then the other 2 things,
the inverse of it. Yeah.
It was like the vignette thing. I thought, I was like, but I did kind of change. I did change it some, and then there was the two things that I was just like, these are stupid, and I actually had to try them like 3 times in different ways. And then I was like, and the first I was like, oh, that was the stupidest idea ever. This looks like butt. And then I was like, well, hold on, let me try it this way. And by the third, I was like, okay, no, that does have some actual power. And I like how this worked. And you were right. And then I got mad again. I was like, God damn it, I can't believe he's right. Screw that guy.
Fuck this guy.
I hate when people are right and I am wrong. And I got real mad again. But then it's better, and I like it. And I can get butthurt about things and get over it. And I think that's like a big part of it is, You know, like it's important to say these things that we feel about the work that we're working on, even if the other person's going to take it personally or because it's not meant that way, and give them time to get over it. And so
definitely.
There's definitely like, it's a mountain, little hills to get over on the way. But from this point, now I'm like, this is now amazing. Like, because I made those things, it really did make it better. It added, you know, a little bit of zhuzh that I had not zhuzhed. Karen Reese, great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Karen. Thanks for coming in. I mean, well, there you go. So case in point as well, on the flip side of that. So when I got the video, I just thought that's fantastic. And then I may have watched it 11 times. It's possible. I'm not sure how that happened. But
well, I watched it also many, many times.
And this, when I just thought those couple of things, I knew that because you'd put so much work into this as well, and when you get to the end of a video like that and you've exported it or rendered it out for the final thing, and you sit back, you're kind of looking at your masterpiece a little bit, aren't you? You know, so it's a very sort of, it's not a place where usually you're going to take criticism very well. So I had to sort of, I'm just maybe suggesting that possibly.
No, you said it very kindly. It didn't,
okay to look at, you know what I mean? So
for sure. You were nicer than when I didn't like your part of the song, and I was like, what's it, a fucking hoedown? I was like, that was my... Exactly. I was much crueler. I did not give you that same kindness. No, I was like, what the fuck is that? So I could have been kinder in my reaction too.
Well, this is where I think some things just get lost in the communication, isn't it, as well? So sometimes, like you just said, you read it, you got a bit, but then you sort of maybe go away and think about it, put yourself through the process. And it's the key to this conversation basically is respond, don't react when it comes to collaborating with people and working. Take a breath, take a minute, take a step back from it being about yourself, and don't react. Just process it for a second and respond accordingly. And if this is where a good working relationship can really develop, because then you can learn to trust each other in that respect, and very quickly realize that you're on the same page, really.
Right. You have the same goal. You're trying to do the same thing. Yeah.
That's it. And once you set off down that trail, you sort of put your packs on, and you get to the point where you realize that you're actually setting off on the same trail together. That becomes very easy then. You know, becomes much, much easier, and it's much easier to say, no, what is this, a fucking hoedown?
I wasn't very nice. I feel bad now. I was a jerk. I'm sorry.
Oh, it was funny because part of me knew you'd say it. I threw it in there as a possibility, and part of me knew you'd say it. And even I kind of hated it. You know, it was a shitty sound anyway. But
it wasn't. It just didn't fit where. I mean, it fits me, so it's kind of funny because it's not anti-Valerie. It's very Valerie, that sound. I just didn't like it in that particular, like, because it was different. It was such a to me, a clash between the part before, and I was like, and it struck me a bit. Also, I don't think Luna liked it from what I'm hearing. Also, and maybe she wants fish.
No. She wants fish, yeah.
So Mick says you need to trust who you're working with, and sometimes you just need to say it. And I think that's true. Like, I do think it is a lot about that idea of having somebody that you trust and that you're not, that you can have some good communication with. That
definitely, and conflict resolution is the key to good friendships and good relationships.
Yeah, always.
It's not about. It's easy to have a good time with somebody. It's not so easy to get through a difficult bit with somebody and to keep it together. And to come from still a position of like love and trust, you know,
and it makes it stronger. It gives you that. There's a part of that human relationship where when you do work through that conflict, you always come out stronger at the other side when you work it through. If you don't work it through, you can just like leave it. And now you've just stranded this. But if you work through it, it can just be something that you get the trust even more. Now we have 5 minutes left before pole vault starts. Do you want to? Yeah. Do you want to comment at all about the crazy mess you have going on behind you?
No, or fuck it all. I'm not. I'm sick of it. I've had enough. I'm sick of it.
The very bright green corner of your room.
The very bright green corner thing. Yeah. So we've got a lunar. I'll tell you what then. Let me just get back to StreamYards. Let's put. Does it kill everything if I go full screen for a minute? We're all right, aren't we? We can handle it, can't we? Luna's here. She wants to say hello.
I might.
So I'll just go full screen for a minute, and now we're in a vortex of doom. Let's get that camera and let's fit it to screen. Right. Dun 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 dun. This is yeah. Hi. How you all doing?
That mask is so scary. It's even worse close up.
Yeah. Complete new setup. All this, you know. I've stripped the entire thing out. I have spent forever painting green, and it's going to look fabulous when it's finished. There's a whole new drum setup going in. It now means that look, we can now be in the vortex of space. And it just gives me the opportunity to put in the sort of a bit more specific drum kit and rewire everything properly. And if I'm really honest with you, I'll be honest, decide whether I want to keep on live streaming or not, because at the moment I really don't know.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, you know.
I feel you. It's hard.
Let's see if I can turn that camera off. Let's turn it off and put that one back on.
Okay, let me hide the StreamYard thing so you think that we paid for the StreamYard. We did not. There we go. I made it big, and then I made it tiny again.
Robbie, it is. I'm not enjoying not playing drums, but at the same time, I do also have the issue with my wrist that's gone on, and my wrist has really appreciated taking some time out. I didn't want to do it, but I've had to do it. And there's just a lot of things have all crashed in at once, to be honest, Robbie. And I, as much as I'm missing it, I can tell that it's doing me good not to do it, you know, as hard as that is.
I'm kind of glad you're taking that break, because you've really been suffering with your wrist for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So Fish says, we all want you to continue, and we appreciate you. Fish is so sweet. I love that.
Nice one, Fish. Bless you. That's so lovely. Thank you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do want to come back and do it, but it's just, it has to justify itself to me, you know, and it has to bring something positive to my life. And the last couple of years on YouTube have just been a really, let's say, from a human perspective, they've been a really interesting ride, and they've certainly been eye-opening. And I now understand the building that I'm actually in YouTube, and the lunatics have got the keys to the asylum in lots of ways. And I have to ask myself whether it's entirely healthy for my mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah.
And that's what it's set against, basically. There's a practicality to it. And because, all right, people, before I go, right? So none of this is real. None of this is fucking real. YouTube's a grift. Everybody's grifting, and everybody's presenting the best side of themselves. So the camera comes on and we all go, hey, everybody, how you doing? Everything's magical. And actually, worms are crawling out your ass. You didn't eat properly last night. Your wife's just left you. You've got bad dandruff or whatever. Somebody's chopped your legs off or whatever it is. You know, we've all got these issues, but we all fake it. So YouTube's not real, and it's all a grift as well. And sometimes what that can do is make people make really, really strange decisions because of the parasocial aspect to it. Now, to be on YouTube you need a lot of time in your life to spend a lot of time on YouTube. So if you're spending a lot of time on YouTube, then YouTube's obviously a center point in your life. Well, my life isn't centered around YouTube. My life has real people and real things in it.
Yeah.
And real experiences. I really, really enjoy YouTube, and I've met so many good people on here. It's not actually central to my life, and that's the real crux of the matter.
Yeah.
And if I'm not careful in a sort of a focus way or an emotional way in terms of balance, I can let that slip. And I can start to see YouTube as some kind of a center point of my life, and it just isn't, and I'll never allow that, because I have real people, that I can touch in the physical world that'll hug me and tell me that they love me.
Yeah.
And that's much more important than all this,
Yeah, we've got Pete Johns in the house.
Pete John, we've got YouTube royalty.
We do.
What's going on, Pete?
So he says 100% YouTube is a tool and a gateway to cool people. And I think, Pete's a good,
You're right.
It's about being focused on what you're doing and what you're trying to produce out here. Like each one of us, like what's my goal here, and focusing on that and not worrying too much about getting likes, getting subscribers, getting people to like me or to show up. People who want to be here will be here. People, like I will make the connections I'm meant to make, and just keep focus on your real, yourself, your health, your well-being, your creativity, your producing. So that's so much more important. And
yeah, and YouTube, like I made the milestone of being able to monetize everyone and stuff, and YouTube is, so I do music for me. So nobody in the world will ever stop me producing music, and that's always for me. I do it for myself ostensibly, and this is why it's not to do with me. So if I put music out into the world, it's to do with the music,
right?
And I think I've come across this grey area in YouTube where there's a crossover between, is it music or is it affecting my real life? Is it? Or is it? And so I'm just being aware of that. I'm sort of walking the line between it at the minute and making sure that I prioritize what's important in my life.
Yeah. And actually I've benefited from this current little crisis we're having. So because, because you've taken your drums out and you're not live streaming, you had the 36 hours to mix and master and arrange my song that you normally wouldn't have because you're streaming twice a week. And that's how we made a Song Timber song that I sent into Pete Johns a few days ago, and it will be premiering on Sunday. And so that will be premiering on my What the Flock show at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And y'all, I'm so excited.
Pete, you're really going to enjoy it. And Pete, nice one for you as well for doing this Song Timber thing as well.
Yeah,
so,
it's been fun.
We talk about people in the YouTube world. Community is a strange word. I'm not really sure that word applies, if I'm honest. I think I might stop using it because sometimes it's very easy for that to feel as fragmented as it does cohesive. So it's a bit of a mental dichotomy. So I don't think community is the best word for it. I don't know what is, but maybe we should find another one.
Yeah.
But in this wider group of people that we've got on YouTube, Pete has been just amazing for doing this Song Timber thing, if I'm really honest, because it really does bring people together and give them a point of focus. Now, this kind of let's get it done because it's for September and it's giving you a limited window, like a bit of a deadline, even though it's a little bit open, it's a month.
Yeah, it goes by fast.
Brilliant. Yeah, because it really brings out some of the best in people as well, because they have to get it done. And it goes with what Chris Lane Senior was saying before, where sometimes you just, let's get it recorded, let's get it done, and let's put it out for Song Timber. And because of that very thing, we've had some absolutely marvelous stuff come out over the years. It's been fabulous. So Pete,
and I'm just excited I finally put a song on for Pete John's show.
Me too. It's brilliant.
I've thought about it forever, but I finally feel, and I'm so proud of this one. I'm just so excited how it turned out, and I just can't wait for everybody to see it. So, because I really do think that, especially just as a collaboration, it's come out to be just brilliant and more than I could make it on my own, for sure.
Good.
So we got to head over to Pole Vaults. We have gone over time, and he has already started. So I've put the link in the chat. There we go, to head on over to Pole Vaults for the weekend warm-up with Pole Vault and Sunshine, and I think maybe Chad.
Probably.
Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, positive really time pressure, as Pete said, is a good way to do it, having that positive time pressure.
And thanks to everybody in the chat tonight. The chat's been really good to read as well. It's been really nice to sort of interact a bit more as well. It's been great.
Yeah, no, this was a really great chat, and I just love these. I really enjoy doing them. So we're not doing it next Friday. I will be visiting Sith Vasquez, and so I won't be here. I'm excited. Tijuana, baby. So I will see you the next week in 2 weeks for Sound Sessions number 7.
Excellent.
All right, everybody. We will see you then, and see you What the Flock on Sunday. Don't miss the premiere of my song.
Don't miss the premiere. Don't miss the premiere.
I love y'all. See you soon.
Deal with it.